Alright guys, here's your Unit 5 exam review. Remember the test is tomorrow, so make sure you come prepared to take my test. Alright, let's get to it. Number 1 says points D, B, and F are midpoints of the sides of triangle ACE. EC is 30. Well, like we discussed in class, they gave us that, but you don't really need that, okay? It says and DF is 17. Find the length of AC. Well, if you remember, the length of the side is twice as long as the length of the mid-segment that's parallel to it. So since this is 17, AC will be 17 times 2, which is 34. So the answer is C. Okay, because remember, AC is 2 times as long. AC equals 2 times DF. Okay, so since DF is 17, 2 times 17 is 34. All right, now let's jump over here to number 3. Find the value of x. So first thing you need to do is make sure this is a mid-segment, all right? Since this is 40 and this is 40, those are the same. Since this is 25 and this is 25, those are congruent. So this is in fact a mid-segment. So you do the same thing you really did for number 1 over here in number 3. Since this is 32, you simply double it. 32 times 2 is 64. So therefore, number 3 is 64. The answer is C, just like number 1. All right, pretty simple. Now let's go on to number 2. Again, we're finding the value of x. Let me clear this ink and move down a little bit. Darn it. There we go. All right, find the value of x. So again, first thing we need to do, check, make sure it is a mid-segment, and in fact it is, because these are congruent and those are congruent. So now we know that the mid-segment is half the length of the side it's parallel to, since this is 16. That means this side is 8. All right, and now we need to find the value of x. We didn't just need to find the length of it, we actually need to find x. So now we know that 3x minus 4 will have to equal 8. Now all we have to do, solve for x. Add 4, add 4, 3x equals 12, divide 3, divide 3, so x equals 4. And since we were only supposed to find the value of x, we are finished. The answer is A. All right, now I'm going to have to move up here a little bit to get to the next one. It says B is the midpoint of AC. So we know this is congruent to this. And D is the midpoint of CE, so we know this is congruent to this. So we know BD is a mid-segment. We know that it's going to be half of AE. AE is 21, so 21 divided by 2, 10.5. Okay, because it's simply 21 divided by 2. All right, BD is half of AE, or AE is 2 times BD. All right, pretty simple. Let's move on. Number 5. Find the length of the mid-segment. Well, they already told us it was a mid-segment, so we don't need to check. The diagram is not drawn to scale. So again, we know that the 4x plus 44, we know that is 2 times as long as the 4x plus 2. So just 2 times 4x plus 2. Distribute the 2 through. So 4x plus 44 equals 8x plus 4. Subtract the 4. And then I'm also going to subtract the 4x here to bring it over to the other side in the same step. So now 44 minus 4 is 40 equals 8 minus 4 is 4x. Divide both sides by 4. And you get x equals 10. Now we're not done yet because we need to find the length of the mid-segment. So now what we're going to do is we're going to plug it into here. So 4 times 10 plus 2, that gives us 42. So the length of our mid-segment is C, 42. All right, let's jump over here to 8. It says Q is equidistant from both sides. That means that it is an angle bisector, so we know that both of these angles have the same exact measure. So to solve this problem, all you have to do is set 4x plus 5 equal to 8x minus 11, solve for x, plug it in, and solve for the angle. Alright, so minus 4x plus 11 plus 11, that's supposed to say 11. So we have 16 equals 4x, divide by 4, divide by 4, so x equals 4. Now, we're not done yet. Even though 4 is an answer, we're not done yet, because we need to find the measure of angle RST. So we want the measure of this entire angle. All right. Now, the easiest thing to do is only plug into one of these, because we know that both of these are going to be the same thing. So all we got to do is find one and double it, and we got the angle. So plug in the 4. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 5 is 21. So we know that both of these angles are 21 degrees. 21 plus 21 is 42. So our final answer is B, 42. All right. Moving right along. Use the information in the diagram to determine the height of the tree. Well, if you notice, the trunk here is at the midpoint between this point and the base of the building, and the top of the tree is at the midpoint from this point to the top of the building. Okay, so which means our tree is a mid-segment, which means our tree is half the height of the building. So 150 divided by 2, 75. So that one's that simple. Okay, and number 7, last one on this page. It says DF bisects EDG, find the value of x. So we know this bisects it, so we know that these two lines are congruent. They're going to be the same length. So you take 15x, it's equal to 8x plus 42, and solve for x. Minus 8x, minus 8x. 15 minus 8 is 7x equals 42. Divide both sides by 7. So x equals 6. So the answer is D, 6. Alright. So that's the first 2 pages. Hopefully you're still with me. You should be. Alright, number 9. Which diagram shows point P an equal distance from points A, B, and C? Well, there was much debate about this one in class, but the correct answer is C, okay? Where the perpendicular bisectors come together is called the circumcenter. The circumcenter is equidistant from all 3 vertices, okay? So the circumcenter is equidistant from all 3 vertices, so the answer here is A, because here we see perpendicular bisectors, and of course the perpendicular bisectors form the circumcenter of a triangle. Alright. Number 10. Find the circumcenter of the triangle. Well, we know from the previous problem that the circumcenter is the perpendicular bisectors, so you need to find the middle of this line. Well, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 units long. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 2 units from this vertex will be our midpoint. So right here, you simply draw a vertical line that is perpendicular, and then do the same thing here. This one's 5 units long, so we know it's going to be 2.5 units from the vertex. So right about there. Connect this over. They should have actually crossed right here on the triangle. And now all we have to do is find the coordinates of that point, where we go back -1, up 1/2. So our point is B, -1, positive 1/2. Alright. Moving right along as soon as my cursor lets me. Alright, there we go. Number 12. Where is the circumcenter of any given triangle? Well, the last 2 problems have dealt with circumcenter, and so we know that the circumcenter of a triangle is the point of concurrency of the perpendicular bisectors of the sides of the triangle. Alright, in triangle ACE, G is the centroid, and we know that the centroid is the point of concurrency for the medians. Okay, and then it's supposed to be an M. and BE is 9, so we know the whole thing is 9. Find BG and GE. Well, we know that BG equals 1/3 of the total length of the line BE. Okay, because from the midpoint to the centroid is 1/3 of the length of the total line. All right, and now we know that GE is 2/3. Okay, so from the vertice to the centroid is 2/3 of the entire line. All right, and since we know 2/3 is simply 2 times 1/3, let's solve this one first. So this is 1/3 times 9, because they told us BE was 9. So 1/3 times 9 is 3. So that means BG is 3, and GE is simply 3 times 2, because 2/3 is 2 times 1/3. So that's 6. So our answer down here is B. Okay, BG is 3, GE is 6. All right, moving right along. Name a median for triangle ABC. Well, to be a median, you have to have a midpoint. Well, is E a midpoint? Nope, didn't mark it. Is F a midpoint? Nope, didn't mark it. Is D a midpoint? Yes. Now, for a median, remember, goes from the midpoint to a vertex. So which line goes from here to a vertex? BD. Okay. You can't use AD because it has to go to the opposite side. So the midpoint, a median for A would have to be over here somewhere. All right, so we know that has to be BD. Okay. Number 15, what is the orthocenter of the triangle given with these two altitudes? Now the nice thing is they drew the two altitudes. So all we have to do is find the coordinates of the point where they intersect, which is right here. So we're going to go back 1, so -1 is our x value, and we don't go up or down, so our y value is 0. So A is our answer, -1, 0. Okay. All right, number 14. For the triangle, list the respective names of the points of concurrency. So perpendicular bisectors. We know the perpendicular bisectors is the circumcenter. So we can rule out A, we can rule out D, because circumcenter should be the first choice. And number 2, bisectors of the angles. We know that's the end center. Okay, so still again, we're still B and C. Number 3, medians. Well, medians meet at the centroid. So here, number 3 is centroid. Here, number 3 is orthocenter. So C is ruled out, and B is your correct answer. All right. If you're confused about what goes where, just refer back to your notes because you should have written it down, but I did go over a chart that had all 4 of these listed next to each other with examples of each. Okay. All right, now let's do 16 and 17. 16. Which 2 statements contradict each other? John, Elizabeth, and Franco read 27 books, among them for a class. Franco read 6 books. None of the students read more than 7 books. All right, well, could Franco have read 6 and they still read 27? Yeah, because it doesn't tell us how many John and Elizabeth read. Well, can can the 3 of them have read 27 books, but none of them have read more than 7? Nah, that seems to be a contradiction, because even if they read 7 apiece, that's still only going to be 21 books total. So your answer is B. Statements 1 and 3 contradict each other. All right. Now, number 17, out of these 3 numbered angles, which one is the greatest? Well, if you remember, angle 1 plus angle 2 equals angle 3, which means 3 is larger than 1 and 3 is larger than 2. So here your answer has to be C, because both of these are smaller than angle number 3. Okay, because remember, this is an exterior angle, and it is larger than each of its 2 remote interior angles. These are remote interiors. Okay, moving on. Number 18, name the smallest angle. Remember, the smallest angle is opposite the smallest side, so 9, 10, 11. This is your smallest side. Go to the angle opposite that, and it is angle A. Angle A is our smallest angle. All right, 24. We're going to jump over here to 24. Which of the following must be true? All right, so if you remember, in order to use the Hinge theorem, which is what we're going to have to use here, okay, you have to have, now, keep in mind, angle B and angle G, to have side angle side congruence, would need to be the same. But all you have to look at is make sure you have side angle side. Okay, side angle side, side angle side. Our angle is in between our two sides that we're saying is congruent. Saying are congruent, all right? So now we just have to go back to which one has a bigger angle. Well, 77 is bigger than 25, so that means that FH is greater than AC. So our answer here is A. All right, remember, the angle has to be between the two congruent sides. If it's not, then you can't make any assumptions about it. Okay, there will be not enough information to figure out the problem. All right. Number 19, 3 security cameras mounted in a triangular parking lot. As soon as you read triangular parking lot, you should have instantly drawn a triangle. Angle 1, camera 2, camera 3. Camera 1 was 158 feet from camera 2, which was 140 feet from camera 3. I'm sorry, 121 feet from camera 3. Get ahead of myself. And then 3 is 140 feet from camera 1. So which camera had the greatest angle to cover? Well, again, the greatest angle is opposite the largest side. 158 is the largest side. Angle 3, camera 3 is opposite that, so the answer is D. All right, the answer is D. Number 20, here we have angles A, B, and C. It says list the sides in order from shortest to longest. So the first thing we need to do is we need to find out what the values of all the angles are. Okay, here's my triangle ABC. Well, now the important thing to remember is all three of the angles of a triangle have to add up to equal 180. So what you want to do is you want to add all these things up. 9x minus 7 plus 7x minus 9 plus 28 minus 2x equals 180. All right, so now we solve this, we find x, we can find the actual measures at the angles. So now combine all these. Well, we have 9x and 7x, which is 16x minus 2x, which is 14x. And then we have negative 7 minus 9, which is negative 16, plus 28, which is a positive 12, equals 180. Subtract the 12 from both sides. So 14x equals 168. So 14 divided by 168 is 12. So now we need to plug that back into here. 9 times 12 is 108, minus 7 is 101. And here we have 7x minus 9, which comes out to 75, and then 28 minus 2x, which comes out to 4. All right, so now we can list the sides in order from shortest to longest. Shortest side opposite smallest angle. Angle C is the smallest, so that means this is our shortest side. 75 is our angle in the middle, so this is our medium length side. 101 is the largest, so this is our longest side. So it's going to be AB, BC, BC. So answer is A. All right. Number 21. Which of the three sides cannot be the lengths of the sides of a triangle? Remember, the easiest way to do this, find the two smallest sides, add them together. They have to be greater than the third side. If they're not greater, if they're equal to or less than, it will not make a triangle. So 17 and 14 is greater than 23. 11 plus 11 is greater than 12. 5 plus 7 is greater than 8. 6 plus 10, ooh, that's not greater than 21. So that's why our answer is D, because 16 is not greater than 21. Now number 3, which one could make a triangle? Well, here we have 12 and 5 is 17. Well, will that work? No, because it has to be greater, so that one's not going to work. 10 and 15 greater than 24? Why, yes, it is. So that's our answer. And then just to verify, 9 and 11 is not greater than 22. 7 and 6 is not greater than 21. All right. 25. If the measure of angle DBC is 92, what's the relationship between AD and DC? Okay. Well, if you notice here, we have sine angle sine, because we know this is 88 degrees, because this is a straight angle, which has to equal 180. 92 and 88 equal 180. So now, longer side opposite the largest angle. Well, DBC is the largest angle, so that means CD is greater than AD. All right, this side will be longer than side DA. All right, and that goes back to the Hinge theorem. All right, 23. Easiest way to do this one is this. Take your two sides of your triangle and subtract them. 8. Take the two sides that you know of your triangle and add them. 22. X will have to be in between those two numbers. So the answer here is D. Right? 15 minus 7 is 8, so X has to be greater than 8. 15 plus 7 is 22. X has to be less than 22. All right, that's all there is to do in that one. 26. What is the range of possible values for X? Well, using the Hinge theorem, we know that the 10x will have to be greater than the 6x plus 20 because it's opposite the greater side. We also know that 6x plus 20 will have to be greater than 0. But if you solve this out, you're going to get x equals a negative number. Well, that's not going to work because if you put a negative number in here, s will be a negative angle. So that's not going to work. So what other inequality can we set up? Well, we know this has to be greater than 0. What about the 10x? Well, the 10x will have to be less than 180 degrees in order to make a triangle. Okay, if it's not less than 180 degrees, it'd be a straight line, and therefore we could not make a triangle with it. So now we need to solve these two inequalities. Let's solve the easiest one first. Divide both sides by 10. So x has to be less than 18. So that narrows it down to C and D. Now let's solve this. Minus 6x minus 6x. So 4x is greater than 20. Divide the 4 off. So x has to be greater than 5. So C is gone, and D is our correct answer. All right, if this one had worked, gave us a positive number, then one of these other ones would have worked for us. But since this one doesn't work, we have to say that 10x is less than 180. I would try this one first. A lot of times this one will work, but occasionally it won't, and you have to do it this way. All right. 27. Complete the two-column proof with the missing reasons. All right, so given that JM is equal to JL, then angle JMK is greater than angle KML. Prove that KJ is greater than KL. Alright, so first off, KM equals KM, well, we know that's reflexive property. Alright, so we know that. So now we have our sine angle sine. Since we know that this angle is larger, the Hinge theorem tells us that JK will be greater. So let's see which one of these says reflexive property in Hinge theorem. Our answer is B, reflexive property in Hinge theorem. I know it moved down. It's because the ink doesn't move with the document, so it's not very smart ink in my opinion. All right, so that's 27 for you. Now let's look at the last one. Given that line AB is a perpendicular bisector of IK, name two lengths that are equal. All right, well, there's actually three pairs here. Since AB is the perpendicular bisector of IK, we know that IJ is congruent to JK. All right. We also know that if you pick a point on that perpendicular bisector, it's equidistant to the two sides. So we know that IA is congruent to KA. And B is also a random point we picked, so we know that IB is congruent to KB. All right. So any one of these would have worked because all it says is name two links. So any one of these would have worked and given you an answer that I would have counted as correct. All right. So this is your review. Hopefully this was helpful and informative for you. Make sure you are ready to take the quiz or the test tomorrow. All right. Good luck.